Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to another live stream here on the channel. Hopefully everyone is having a fantastic Monday so far, at least as good of a Monday as you can have. Let's see who we have here in chat. We have Barton, Critty, Ben, as well as, let's see, Ellison and Williams and Johnny and everyone else who is in the chat who I may have forgotten to welcome, or if you're just now tuning in, welcome to the stream. Also Proxy as well. Glad to have you here. Yeah, let's go ahead and dive on into it. Also Eli in here. Welcome to the stream. So we're going to be talking about the snowstorm going across the country right now. This is what it currently looks like out there across the Midwestern United States. So it kind of looks like our snowstorm the other day, just a lot weaker and not as well defined, but it's in generally the same areas our other winter storm. Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin, Iowa, Michigan, Ohio, all those same states that got snow before are getting it yet again today. Although it is going to be in a lot lower snow totals than what that last snowstorm was. You can even see a little band here of snow getting all the way down into Oklahoma, potentially into Tulsa, and then some mixing there of some sleet and mixed precipitation out there across Arkansas, and then maybe some snow mixing in here near Jonesboro, just in southeastern Boot Hill there of Missouri, generally out in that area. Also some heavier snow, our heaviest snow totals. Actually, we're back there towards Kansas City so far today, but our heaviest snow band at the moment is situated out here across portions of Indiana and western Ohio. That's where our heaviest snow is falling. That will continue to move off to the northeast, and we are expecting to see some intensification out of that band of snow as it moves up into the northeastern U.S. Welcome, Rockets. Glad to see you in here. Sleeveless, welcome. Glad to see you here as well. Hoping we could get some. It's going to be close. Yeah, it's going to be close for me to get some ice down here in Martinsville, Virginia. We just got upgraded to a winter weather advisory about 3-4 hours ago. So tomorrow I'm iffy on a live stream. We'll see. There's a chance I completely lose power. And even if I do have power, I'm still a little 50-50 on if I'll want to do a live stream or not for tomorrow. But I'm going to try to do a stream tomorrow. Hopefully I'll be able to. So let's go ahead and go over to our model data here. Let's just dive right on into it so we could go ahead, take a look at the future reflectivity here, our future snow. So this is generally what the radar looks like here. Nope, let me pull that back. It wasn't supposed to go any further there. Generally, right about this is what our radar looks like. So a little bit less well-defined than what it actually is if you compare the two. We do have a little bit better snowfall than what this model run is saying across portions of Missouri and Arkansas, but it is handling that little band back towards Tulsa decently. Not the best, but decently. So let's go ahead and pull this song out. Welcome, Pete. Glad to see you in here. So if we go ahead and pull this on down in time here, you'll see we are going to see some deepening of our overall system. It's going to strengthen quite a bit here into the overnight hours. We're into 5 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow morning, and that's when this storm's really going to start strengthening here. The heaviest snow will be right where that freezing line is, somewhere in Kentucky up through Pennsylvania, but you guys won't end up with the highest amount of snowfall totals out of this. You can also see pretty widespread ice is expected here. So if you are out here in Roanoke, I know we had a viewer from Roanoke earlier, please be very, very careful. I would highly recommend not being on the roads in the early morning hours, and if you absolutely have to, drive with absolute extreme caution because we are likely going to see some extremely slick roads and up to a half an inch of ice, which is extremely significant for Western Virginia this time of the year. So please proceed with extreme caution if you are along the I-81 corridor early tomorrow morning, specifically anywhere from, if you happen to be out at 2 a.m., from about 2 a.m. is when this will start, 2 a.m. all the way till about 8 or 9 a.m. is when it will start transitioning into just rain, not freezing rain there. So really in the dead middle of the night. And then we could have some lingering ice here going into the very late morning hours, 9, 10 a.m., but mainly that ice will be out of here by about 8 or 9 a.m. As for a backup here in Pennsylvania and New York, we'll continue to see deepening of our snow totals here, and then our heaviest snow will by far be on the freezing rain line here across Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Vermont, and far eastern New York, where we could see upwards of a foot of snowfall, even into southern Maine. I meant to include Maine in that, so extend that all the way up into actually southern Maine as well. Generally in that area is where our heaviest snow will be for tomorrow afternoon and evening, and this will start to be heavy right about noon, 11 a.m. noon Eastern. It will begin to be pretty heavy, and then it will peak in probably 1 to 2 inches per hour snowfall totals there, probably about 1 p.m. all the way till about 5, maybe 6 p.m. Eastern time. So it should be a good 4 to 5 hours of that very heavy snowfall, allowing for us to get upwards of a foot of snowfall in some spots. Also going to show you that exact same model run here on Radar Omega, because it might be just a little bit clearer and easier to see because Radar Omega has a better color table. You can see that ice in the pink there, starting at about 1, 2 a.m. tonight, and then lasting all the way until about 7, 8 a.m., maybe as late as 9, 10 a.m. Eastern. And then you could see the heaviest snow there in the early morning hours, focused across the higher elevations of Western Virginia, into West Virginia, of course, Eastern Kentucky, Northern Virginia, Maryland, Southern PA, even into Pittsburgh potentially with those heaviest snowfall totals. But they won't last long for those heavy snow bands, probably no longer than 2 hours. And you can see there, just barely east of Pittsburgh is where those heaviest snow totals will be, upwards of probably 6 inches of snow there, I'd have to imagine. And then going into about noon, you'll notice you start to see a lot more of this gray here across the northeastern U.S., and it really deepens here 1, 2, 3, 4 p.m. You're really at that peak amount of heavy snowfall, and then 5 p.m. it starts to weaken again. 6 p.m. continuing to weaken, and then finally by the time we get to 10 p.m. much of that snow is beginning to exit the northeastern U.S. So let's talk about some snowfall totals here. This is the official forecast for your snow totals over the next about 60 hours or so from the National Weather Service. And you can see they are forecasting a very large area to see 2 to 4 inches of snowfall here across Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, much of Pennsylvania, even into northern Kentucky, as well as northern West Virginia. Really, a lot of those areas will see 4 to 5 inches of snowfall. And then I saw someone say Buffalo. Buffalo is expected to see about 7 to 9 inches of snowfall up there. But again, those heaviest snow totals will be really focused across portions of Maine, Vermont and Massachusetts there. And then also, of course, the lake effect areas there, like Buffalo, could also see those additional higher snowfall totals than what like central New York may see. Central New York maybe 6 to 8 inches of snow, whereas Buffalo, Watertown, closer to maybe 8 to 10 inches of snowfall there. But generally, right around the 8 inch snowfall range is what I'd expect in Buffalo as well as in Watertown. They do say up to 11 inches of snowfall there southeast of Watertown. And you can see upwards of a foot in some spots here, 12.5 inches of snowfall, southern Vermont. And we could easily see a bit longer, or rather a bit more widespread of an area here, getting those upwards of a foot of snowfall totals in these regions. So we'll keep a close eye on that. And I think really this is a good forecast. Last time I checked, the much of our model runs agreed with, or rather, much of the NWS agreed with much of our model runs, is what I meant to say. The NWS agreed with our model runs here, like the HRRR, which is one of our better snow models for at least the very short term. The WRAP is probably the best performing one, probably a little bit better than the HRRR, but really the WRAP and the HRRR are both really, really good at those snow totals. The NAM is okay, but I've seen the NAM underdo a lot of areas and then also overdo a lot of areas, so it doesn't seem to be the best. So I would really be sticking with the HRRR and the WRAP, and those two are not extremely confident, actually, on those higher end snow totals up here. Neither one of them have a foot of snowfall happening, so we'll have to pay attention to that and see if it's going to be an HRRR and WRAP model run win here, or if it will be the NAM. The NAM is saying upwards of 13 inches of snowfall. So will we see a foot, 13 inches of snowfall, or will it be an underperforming risk where we get max like 8 or 9 inches of snowfall here? The HRRR does have higher elevations, getting up to 10 in very few spots, though. So we'll need to keep an eye on that just to see if which one of our model runs perform better. But either way, the northeastern U.S., if you are in this area here, you're looking at least 6 inches of snowfall and upwards of a foot of snowfall. That is a pretty wide range. I think the NWS, let's go see what the NWS is saying here. Let's go see what the warning is for southern New Hampshire. Yeah, 6 to 9 inches of snowfall is the wording on the NWS's warning. 7 to 11. 6 to 9, go up here, 6 to 9, northern Vermont, 5 to 9, eastern New York, 7 to 11. So they're not saying a foot of snowfall on their warnings, which is odd because they are actually forecasting up to a foot in southern Vermont, right in this area. And you can see they say 7 to 11 inches of snowfall in that area. But look at all the people who are under winter weather advisories right now in the purple. Here, I'll clear that off for you. All those areas in the purple are under winter weather advisories here. A very, very large chunk of the eastern and northeastern U.S. and midwestern U.S. Now, these down here in North Carolina and Virginia, those are for ice. These down here to Arkansas are also for ice. And then the rest are for snow. So like this area is for ice and this area is for ice. Those two sections are for the potential of ice. Everything else is for mainly snow. So yes, I am inside that winter weather advisory, up to 1/10 of an inch of ice for me. And up here towards Rocky Mount, they do say, I think, like 2/10. Yeah, 2/10 of an inch. But most of our guidance is actually, from what I last checked, more aggressive than that. If we take a look here, the HRRR is way more aggressive, upwards of 0.60 inches of ice there. So that's 6/10 of an inch of ice. The NAM should be just as aggressive, up to 6/10 as well. Mainly focused in far western Virginia there. The WRAP model, generally the same as well, really focused there in western Virginia. So I do think somewhere around Roanoke or pointing north in between Harrisburg and Roanoke, we'll see a 1/2 inch of ice, which is why, again, you want to be very careful if you're traveling tomorrow along that, isn't it? I don't want to get the interstate wrong, so I'm actually going to fact check it. I've been on this interstate, and I still don't even know it. I just don't want to be wrong on the interstate. Yeah, I-81. I was, I should have just said it because I was almost 100% sure it was 81. So just be careful on Interstate 81 there, going through Roanoke. Just between Roanoke all the way back up into, like I said, Harrisburg. Harrisonburg, rather. TRG, is your power going to be cooked? It will be cooked. If I get a 10th inch of ice, I will probably not have power tomorrow. So I'm kind of 50-50 on a live stream. If I do have power, I might try my best to live stream. And if I don't have power, well, I can't live stream. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see which one it is. And then in the future, talking about going after this winter storm, which seems pretty impactful, honestly. We do have that moderate zone, moderate impacts there above my face cam. For some reason, I forgot what you call them. Pretty sure they're moderate. It's the orange, a level 3 out of 5 for winter storm impact. So we're not quite at major. I do think we could see some major impacts, isolated major impacts in Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine, but it won't be as widespread major impacts as what we saw out there in Iowa and Illinois the other day. And after this, we're actually watching my neck of the woods here. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we're going to be watching this region here for the potential of snow. Now, right now, the GFS is leaned against that potential for snowfall, so I don't expect it to be anything big. But I'm going to keep an eye on it just in case we see an uptrend in the future, which is very rare for events here in North Carolina and Virginia, but it's not theoretically impossible. So we'll just need to watch where that freezing line sets up at. And also, if we switch over to Supercell Composite, not really much of a severe weather factor here across the U.S. for the next couple of weeks, really. I did see a post about the potential for severe weather returning into the central U.S. going into like late next week. Yeah, Thursday next week, December 11th. So very late next week, but that is so far out, it's not worth discussing. But if that did happen, we would definitely have another snowstorm risk as well. But the uncertainty on that is extraordinarily high because of how far out we are. So I do want to take a look, though, at our GFS model run, though, just to see here. I do want to go over my neck of the woods and go all the way out till Friday, Saturday. And you can see, yeah, pretty dang sure we're not going to be getting much of a snowstorm out of this. According to much of our ensembles, I'd say maybe 18 out of the 20 do not have any sorts of snow happening across southern Virginia. So not really a good chance there in our neck of the woods, but still going to watch it. And then it does look like there's quite the agreement on a few of our models that will have a snowstorm to keep an eye on here going into the next weekend, But like I said, that is really uncertain at this point because it's far out. Yeah, you can see, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8. I'm skipping those numbers. 9. So just under half have a snowstorm being in the central U.S. going towards late next week. We'll have to see what ends up occurring. Which I think that's possible. We are entering a very active phase, so I would definitely be watching that going into next week. We are still in a very active weather phase here. The only reason why we're going to slow down is because we could have a high pressure that builds, and if we do see that high pressure build, like the GFS is saying, that will definitely help halt any big snowstorms. We'll still see some Alberta Clippers back up in here, but if we get a good high pressure locked in the deep south, that is going to prevent a lot of wintry weather and a lot of good snowstorms from entering the U.S. But you can see here, I don't know if I can show the surface. It doesn't look like... Okay, yeah, the Euro is on board with that high pressure. It's really difficult to see, but you can see there is definitely some sort of weak high pressure in this. I drew that the wrong way. Some weak high pressure in here because you can see these wind barbs in here turning. So there's definitely a weak. Actually, that might be a low. No, that is a high. That is high pressure. So definitely some weak high pressure here on the Euro model as well. What about the Canadian? The Canadian does not have a high pressure. It does have a very large weak high. However, we just get consistent cold weather that helps push that out. And because of that, we do continue to see a more active wintry pattern. So we'll have to see where that high pressure sets up next week, and that's going to be the determining factor on if we do see another big snowstorm across the country next weekend. But this upcoming weekend, we're going to be keeping an eye on Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, just right along where there's moisture heading up into our area, and that 540 freezing line is trying its best to go south, but it looks like it's going to be a missed opportunity. Honestly, if that line was just a little bit further south, we'd be talking about another major winter storm here, and probably one of the better winter storms that we've seen in this area in the last 3-4 years. If that 540 line was just 100 miles, 50, 100 miles further to the south, because you get consistent precipitation here. I mean, if we look at our total, I don't know if we can. Oh, we can. Good. If we look here, oh, this is buggy. We'll go to the GFS. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. So if that was all snow, you're looking at like 15 inches of snow in South Carolina. That's rough. That is a rough miss right there. You're looking at like 15 inches of snow in central South Carolina if that 540 line was just a little bit more south. But it's most likely not going to be, so we'll still watch it. Watch for some flakes. You know, flake watch out here, flurry watch. We'll have a flurry watch out there for Friday, Saturday there in Virginia, Tennessee, Kentucky, and NC, but I don't think it will be a snowstorm. Does the NAM go out that far, perhaps? I think it does go very close to that far. Yeah, you could see like the NAM has that line being quite further south there. So that's what we'll pay attention to. But yeah, the big story across the country for at least the next week is going to be this winter storm tomorrow. We're not going to be in a very active pattern here for about a week or so, but then we should re-enter a more active pattern towards the end of next week. Yeah, going into early next week, we should enter a more active pattern. Maybe even Saturday. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are probably all going to be inactive as we just have that close call snowstorm across the southeastern U.S. And then it's maybe Saturday, Sunday, we start to see a better uptick in activity. And then we're back to a more active pattern towards the middle of December. So maybe about a 4-day break, which is perfect because I plan on taking a break Friday and Saturday. I hate how there's going to be rain moving in right when I'm taking that break because I plan on doing a lot of outdoor stuff. Yeah, it comes in right on Friday. I'm cooked. I guess I'll just have to do it in the rain. I just have to do the outdoor stuff Saturday morning. Actually, might be clear. Yeah, Saturday I'll do it. But I'll be taking a break Friday, Saturday. I will have a video Thursday. I'm planning to do a video Thursday. So tomorrow, I should be live tomorrow for an hour. And then a video on Thursday, and then a break Friday, Saturday. And that break might go into Sunday, depending on how this guy looks. If this guy looks like a decent snowstorm threat, which right now, it doesn't look too bad. 24-hour totals up to 5 inches going into Saturday and Sunday. What does the Euro have there? The Euro has it being a little bit more north, more of up in here. So that little clipper system, we might need to watch just for a quick hitting snow totals there. Look at that. Just north of Omaha. Omaha, Nebraska there. Up to about 9 inches of snow going into this weekend. Those little clippers are typically full of moisture. And normally they're a bit quicker too. So, I mean, if it's slow moving like that, that could deliver our heavier snow totals. Yeah, and then you could see going into So that's Saturday, Sunday, more active across the central U.S. And then going into early next week, we have more Clippers to watch. St. Mary's, PA will be hit. Probably not too bad. I think you're in like 4 or 5 inches of snow there. Yeah. 4.5, right in the middle. Wow. Yeah. So your range is probably like 3 to 5 inches of snow in your area. Not like a great amount of snow to where it's going to be. I mean, personally, 4 to 5 inches of snowfall is really what I like, because it's not an insane amount to the point where it fully disrupts travel like a bunch. It is going to disrupt it a bit, but not like a major snowstorm. And it's not small enough to where you can't play in it and have fun with snow. So a decent amount. 4 or 5 inches of snow. I did see some models had the NATOcast had a 5% today. Some models had some tornadic storms on the coastline of North Carolina today into tomorrow. Yeah, it doesn't look like, it really just looks like an overconvected mess, but there is a chance for a spin-up tornado or two across the Outer Banks of North Carolina tomorrow. Really tomorrow morning. Yeah, really tomorrow morning. From about 6 a.m. all the way till about noon is your best chance for a spin-up tornado in the Outer Banks of NC. And then today there is a chance across Florida. Yeah, I would really watch that there. Overnight again, actually. This looks to be about 5 to 8 a.m. We need to watch for some confluence bands to set up across right near, I believe that's near Palm Beach, right? Yeah, Panama City. Panama City is what I was thinking of, not Palm Beach. Panama City. Confused my places, I guess. So we'll just need to watch there. Also, maybe watch a little bit of Central Florida, too. Just watching the panhandle for a spin-up tornado or two going into the early morning hours tomorrow, and as well as watching the coastal areas of NC. I do believe they have a 2% tour out today, right? Pretty sure. Yeah, they do have a 2% tour today. Oh, and they already have a 2% tour tomorrow. I did not know that. Yeah, I agree with this for sure. Although I do think they should add a 2% across the coastal areas of NC just in case, but right now they don't. So I wouldn't be surprised if we wake up, there's a 2% tour up here. So just a spin-up tornado possible overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. Not really anything worth like covering, not like a tornado outbreak or anything. Just a spin-up tornado or two. Water spout could move on shore and cause some issues. I'd imagine it'd be probably pretty weak and brief. All right, let's go to our snow totals here. Yeah, so the HRRR is still very much on the same page as the NWS here, with mainly being widespread 2 to 4 inches of snowfall. And then we have to go back to an older model run to see up there in the northeastern U.S. Again, not as much. The HRRR is very much on the lower side for snow totals across Maine, Vermont, and into Massachusetts and New Hampshire. So we'll see. I'll keep an eye on that. Like I said, we'll see which one performs better. Does the what is it? The NAM. The NAM shows about widespread 8 inches of snow to a foot, whereas the HRRR shows widespread maybe 6 to 8 inches of snowfall, isolated spots up to 10. Hopefully the ice isn't too bad tomorrow. I would definitely keep a very close eye on it. It's either going to be Roanoke or just north. I'm really watching from about Blacksburg all the way up to Harrisonburg. That's really the area to watch, right in here. I'm keeping a very close eye on that corridor. I think we could get up to a half inch of ice up there. I know the NWS is only calling for 2/10, but I really think we could get up to a half inch of ice in that area. So it's very much worth paying attention to. And it will be overnight too. Like I said, most of the ice should be gone by about 9 a.m., maybe a little later, but right about 9 a.m. That ice should be out of here. Let me go to the precipitation type here. Not the best color table for that, but you could see Roanoke. I mean, like downtown Roanoke, it looks like maybe it just sticks on more of the mountains around Roanoke. You can see it really stays on the outer edge of Roanoke. Yeah, some snow does sneak in, though. I would definitely be really worried. Honestly, I'm pretty worried about the interstate here. I'm not worried about, like, downtown Roanoke, but the interstate I-81 I'm pretty concerned for. And yeah, you can see for me, it looks like it mainly stops on the mountains. There's big old mountains here near Stewart. These are all mountains up in, specifically this area is full of mountains. I've been to Laurel Fork. Ooh. This looks like a straight road. It is not a straight road. Somehow it's Highway 58. It's not straight. It's not straight at all. Not good. I gotta say, back out here though, there's near Bristol. Oh my goodness, the mountains out in this area are insane. It is insane. We went in April. I would love to take a trip there, even just like during the fall would be great. Allentown, PA predictions. That's pretty difficult to say. I would say an inch of snow, probably. Right about an inch of snow. You're right on that line, so I doubt it's going to be... It's not going to be enough to disrupt your day completely, and it's not going to be enough to, like, have fun in. It's going to be annoying. It's just going to be annoying snow, because it's probably going to... If it does snow, if you get snow, it's definitely, like, right when it snows, you need to get out there, or it's going to melt. Because it's going to turn to rain. For sure will be rain by the time we get to the afternoon hours. So in the morning is your best chance for any good snow. And then it should be gone by about 3 p.m. Yeah, 3 p.m. should be out of Allentown. You can see the NAM 3K here. It only gives you maybe a ½ inch of snow at best, and then it's mainly just rain. So any snow will be very early. Probably before 11 a.m. will be your best snow. Between 8 and 11. And I'd say max is an inch of snow. What is the NWS saying? NWS is predicting 2 inches of snow. I think that's on the higher side, really. Let's see what you are in an advisory for. Advisory for up to 2 inches of snow. I'd be pretty surprised if you get 2 inches of snow. But who knows? Sometimes these do overperform. Sometimes our snowstorms do overperform. Zanesville, probably right about 4 inches of snow. I'd say 4 inches of snow is probably a good prediction there. 3 to 4. Right in that range. I want to look at the... Yeah, I think you're going to stay barely north of that freezing line, which is good. Yeah, you're going to stay just barely north of that freezing line, which should give you potentially some of the higher snowfall totals out in Ohio here. Yeah, still 2 to 4. Apparently that snow is not falling very heavily. A bit surprised it's not a bit heavier there. Yeah, 2 to 4 inches of snow is a good range. Washington, Indiana. Wait, hold on. Let me do Shelburne Falls, Massachusetts. Then I'll do that other one. Oh, that's difficult. I would say I'd expect about 7 to 10 inches of snow here. That should be reasonable. The HRRR underdoes it so much, though. Only 2. Man, that's a bad spread right there. Look at the difference. 17 on this model run. Okay, I don't think it's going to be that crazy. What is this model run on? Holy crap. I would definitely go with the kind of in between that. I wouldn't say 3, and I definitely wouldn't say 14. I'd say right about like 7 to 10. But just know like the ceiling is very high and the floor is very low. That's definitely a very hard forecast there. So I'd say 7 to 10 is the most likely case. And then Washington, I don't think you're going to get much here. Are you getting any right now? Let's see. Yeah, it should be snowing right now. Sometimes this radar can be a little bit overdoing on the snowfall. But yeah, you should have been getting snow over, like, spotty snow over the last 3 hours here. I'd say maybe an inch. Honestly, I don't think it's going to be anything great. I don't think you're going to get a good amount of snowfall there. Hopefully you'll get a big snowstorm, if that's what you're wanting. I'm not sure if you're a snow lover or hater. I'm mixed on snow. Like I've said in past streams, I'll take about like 8 inches of snow in a full season is great. If you give me 4 inches of snow with one snowstorm and then 4 inches of snow like a month after that one, perfect. I don't like any of the huge snowstorms. I think it would be nice to see a big snowstorm at least one more time. Like, we haven't had a good snowstorm over 10 inches here in Southern Virginia since 2016. It'd be nice to experience over 10 inches of snow in 24 hours again. Sometime. It don't have to be this year or next year. It could be, like, a little later. It'd just be nice to get a big snowstorm. Because we don't see them too often. They're about once every 4 years here. Like 2016 was good. 2018 was pretty good. And then we had a good one in 2021. But I don't think the one in 2021, I think that had like 6 to 8 inches of snow with it. It's about every 4 years. So we are due for one, actually. We are definitely due for one here in Virginia. And please don't be an ice storm. I don't need a repeat of every other year. Seems like every year we get ice storms out here. I'm already in a winter weather advisory for ice, and it's December 1st. Like, ice couldn't wait at all. Day 1 of meteorological winter, and I'm in an advisory for ice. Happy meteorological winter, by the way. December 1st is meteorological winter. It's snow season. I think school will be canceled tomorrow for me, or a 2-hour delay. It is moving through in the early morning hours, so a 2-hour delay is possible, but that's really... I know in Pennsylvania, it takes a lot to get delays up there, so they could do a 2-hour delay. I don't see it being a full cancellation. Hello, Lucy. Welcome to the stream. Otter, welcome to the stream as well. I really want snow now in Nashville. It's not looking good currently. Hey, I mean, you guys had a great snowstorm last year, so it's my turn now. Give some snow to the rest of us, will ya? You hogged it all last year. No, but actually January, the end of December and going into January should be great for the central and eastern U.S. I would expect multiple big snowstorms. We've already had two. We've already had 2 big snowstorms. And this is our 3rd winter storm of the season. And again, the first 2 were big. The first one was a full-fledged blizzard. The second one was a pretty historic snowstorm for central Iowa. Up to 16 inches of snow, I believe we got out there in Fort Dodge, Iowa. And then this one is a little bit of a lower end snowstorm compared to the other 2. This is like kind of a mid snowstorm. Could see spots up to 9 inches to a foot of snow in some areas. I don't see any big snowstorm potentials till like the middle of December. We will have another chance for a quick hitting snowstorm across the central US Saturday and Sunday out in here. So I'd maybe a bit bigger of an area like this area. We'll have to see where it clips down into. It may be a little bit closer to Kansas City, or it may be back up towards Cedar Rapids. We'll have to see what our models show as we go towards Saturday. Which I'll have a video on that Thursday. That's probably what our video is going to be about. Like I said, I'm so split on doing a stream tomorrow. Very split. Oh, excuse me. Got 5 inches in the grass last weekend. Yep, I saw that. St. Louis overperformed a lot. I did not expect you to get up to 5. I think I said as much as like 4, but reasonable was 2. Reasonable forecast was 2, and high end was 4, and you ended up with 5. Any severe weather in the foreseeable forecast? Nope. There may be a chance late next week, but that's like 200 hours out, so I wouldn't expect any good severe chances anytime soon. We'll have to see if we get that one tornado outbreak that's memorable in second season. If I had to guess, it's probably going to be at the end of December. Oh, hey, there it was. Nope. Not good enough timed. Let's see if the CFS has any big outbreaks. Oh, there's one, December 24th. Freaking Christmas Eve. Okay, not a lot of cape with that one, but that's a good trough. Imagine that, a Christmas Eve outbreak. I mean, that's not great, honestly. None of that is favorable for severe weather. Yeah, see, there's our little chance. That's next weekend, like December 11th and 13th. But only a few models are hinting towards that, and that's like, it's so far out. It's so far out. It wouldn't shock me if that disappears in the next, like, 2 days and just doesn't, it's not on the models anymore. I mean, the 18Z, yeah. 12Z and 18Z don't even have it anymore. There's a little bit on the 11th, but it's very coastal. So I'd imagine any severe threats that we do have in the middle of December will probably be focused to, like, this corridor in here. Hello, Legacy. Welcome to the stream. Mark as well. I don't know if I welcomed you to the stream, Mark. Glad to see you in here. Grandpa also, welcome to the stream. Sorry if I repeat you guys. I try to welcome as many people as I can. No, it won't be that type of outbreak. It ain't gonna be no Mayfield outbreak. That was like a once in a generational outbreak for second season, really. It really was like a once in a century type event. Never seen before. The only other time we had an event comparable to that was the Tri-State Tornado, and that definitely didn't happen in December. And I know there's been a lot of research into the Tri-State Tornado starting to claim that it actually wasn't a Tri-State. But they'll probably forever keep it as the Tri-State Tornado. Thank you, Ben. Glad to be here. Glad to be in the stream. I'm curious. What does the CFS have for... Oh, man, we can't even look at it, can we? Nope. We can't even look at our high pressures. I want to look at our surface highs. Yeah. High pressures destroy winter. So that's what we need to be on the lookout for. And I see a chance for one mid next week. Those destroy winter. High pressures destroy. But the thing about a high pressure is, and we say this in tornado season too, a high pressure is like a false sense of hope. It gives you a hope of a perfect forecast and nothing's ever going to happen and it's all beautiful sunshine and rainbows. But what actually happens is when there's a high pressure that sits over the US, typically what it does is it starts to like stall out and help bring in bigger troughs like this. So either it's a cutoff high where you have a high pressure here and there's a trough stuck across the western hemisphere, the western US. And then once that high pressure moves through, that trough swings in and it brings a big time threat for all hazards, especially in tornado season. Or that high pressure stays here and it brings in a big trough across the northern side of the US, and we kind of get that derecho type flow that we see in June and July. So a high pressure is only good for short-term good weather. Typically after a high pressure is something bigger. Like on this model run, watch this. If we go ahead and look, this high pressure across the southern US stays here for like a week straight. And then towards the end of the loop, there it still is. Watch it start to leave and look what starts to come in. Right in here, you can see a big disturbance crosses the country. And then the 18Z also does that. It keeps that high pressure in, and then here comes a big old front and a big old snowstorm. And a big old trough behind it. So that's what the high pressure is doing. So it's blocking. You've got a mid-level high pressure in the Gulf and then a surface high pressure in here. And that keeps your trough up in here. And then that trough eventually slams down and brings a bunch of cool air in. And that's how we get those crazy Arctic blasts. Yeah, look at that. This is your surface temperatures, by the way. So see, look at that. That high pressure gives you a false sense of hope. You got the negative temps all the way down into northern Missouri there. Actually, all the way into Indiana and Ohio. So you literally go from essentially perfect winter weather here. I mean, really nice weather. Mid to upper 60s and even into the low 70s. And then 2 days later, boom, you're in the teens. So it's like a high pressure kind of, it's really bad typically in spring. We see it so much in spring. And it's something you really look for in the CPC outlooks too. Because a high pressure in spring will bring above average temperatures to this area. And what that essentially does, it just bakes. It just bakes a bunch of moisture and instability for like 3 days straight across the central US. And then that big trough swings in and it uses up all that cape. And that's how you get your March 14th type setups. That's how you get those types of setups. You get days of instability being brought up into the US because of a high. And then a trough pulls in after that high. It kicks the high out. And then it creates a very unstable atmosphere. And I wouldn't be surprised if we actually already saw that in our winter storm here. If I go back, I wonder. Haha, what do you know? The winter storm we just went through, high pressure, and a big old system across the US. I'm telling you, that seems to be like what it is. That seems to be a very common thing. So there you go. A big high pressure sitting across the central eastern US, and then a big old snowstorm sweeps it out. Obviously, that's an old model run. Now here's your new model run, which, by the way, holy moly, another high pressure. This one's across the northeastern US, and guess what? Here comes the big old snowstorm to sweep it away. I didn't even realize our last two snowstorms literally were the exact setup I was talking about. And then look at that. What comes behind this snowstorm? Another high pressure. But it doesn't look like this system's going to be as good. You could see we do get a big trough building in the western US, but there's just not a lot of energy with it. And so you just get all this moisture like this. And it just sits here. This 540 line is just not far enough south, and you don't have a huge trough. Yeah, you don't have a negatively tilted trough to help pull that up into that Arctic blast. So it just sits across the southeastern US, and it is a wasted major snowstorm potential. That is very sad to see. That hurts. That hurts. Because that's a potential nor'easter just completely gone to waste. All that moisture. You could have gotten up to 15 inches of snowfall in South Carolina if that cold air was a little bit more south, or if we had a better low pressure that could have pushed up into the northeastern U.S. and dumped a bunch of snow. But it's just wasted opportunity. I mean, we do get something out of it. It's not as good, but that's your little clipper system. And you could see a little narrow corridor here of like 4 to 6 inches of snowfall going into next weekend. And that does go over St. Louis. So, Lucy, if you're still watching, I mean, I would be watching next weekend. I don't think it's a very high chance for a snowstorm, but there is a chance for some snow going into next weekend. You can see the Canadian model run takes all that snow off in northern Missouri, so St. Louis gets only some flurries, but I mean, flurries will be better than nothing. The Euro does bring about an extra inch or two if you look here. Barely north of St. Louis. You go from 2 inches of snow to, let's see, about 4. So I would definitely be watching right in here. If you live in this area, I'd be watching this upcoming weekend for a quick hitting snowstorm. I doubt anybody will get more than about 6 inches of snow, but you never know. Apparently, according to the Euro model, it even makes it over here into Virginia, up to like 2 inches of snow, either over my house or just north of my house. I don't like to chase winter storms much. I like to chase setups like this. This is the types of setups I like to chase, where you have a big old low pressure off the coastline of the northeastern U.S., and the wind speeds behind that bring in a huge Arctic blast. And because you get that big blast, it pushes cool air across the warm Great Lakes, and it creates snow squalls across the mountains and into my area. That is what I like to chase. I haven't chased a snowstorm. I got new tires in June for this upcoming tornado season, but if we get a good snowstorm, maybe I chase a little bit of snow. The problem is, we don't know how to drive in snow, okay? Just straight up, if there's 2 inches of snow on the ground, you might as well expect a huge pile up in downtown Martinsville. Because if there's snow, there's going to be crashes. Same way how if there's rain, there's going to be power outages. So it's very dangerous to be driving in Martinsville when there's any type of winter precipitation. Northern VA does. Northern VA does. I'm sure, like, DC, Harrisonburg, probably up there in Roanoke, you guys know how to drive a lot better. But in Southern Virginia, we are just... No. Oh, no. I've seen some horrible drivers in the heavy rain of pretty much every severe threat that I chase out in my neck of the woods, or even into northern NC. And then there's always car crashes whenever there's any type of snow on the ground. Now, I will say for ice, our DOT does a bit better along the bypass. Our bypass typically does get a lot of 58, I believe it's called, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty sure it's Highway 58. Oh, 220, duh. Yeah, 220 and 58. Both of these typically do get a good amount of just work on them when we start talking about ice. So ice is a little less prone to causing car crashes, at least along in the 220 and 58 areas. So like a 1/10 of an inch of ice, that might not cause many incidences along our bypass, but downtown Martinsville's cooked. You're cooked in downtown Martinsville. And then for snow, if there's 2 inches of snowfall, everybody in Henry County's cooked. So, yeah, even our schools closed with like an inch and a half of snow being forecasted. I wouldn't be shocked if they're out of school tomorrow if they're not on Thanksgiving break, because my word, I swear they're always out of school. I swear. Every time. Any type of remotely disruptive storm in Southern Virginia gets you out of school. And then also their breaks seem very long. Less than half inch of snow for canceling school year? Wow. Okay, well, I don't know if we'd cancel school for that. But a half inch of snow will cause issues. Now, you'd want to drive very, very, very carefully with that. Flakes start falling and people start crashing. It's not good. It's not good. You had school today. I know a few people are off like 1 or 2 more days. I don't know about this area because I don't keep up with it like that much. Now, when snow and ice starts coming through, I do start checking it just to see how bad are we actually. But all right, I might be live tomorrow. If I'm not, I will have a video out on Thursday. Thursday's the next planned video, and I'm gonna attempt to do a live stream tomorrow. We'll just see how it goes. Hopefully, I'm able to. But I appreciate all you guys tuning in. I appreciate the Mazamon chat and everyone being here. It was great to talk to you guys for an hour. Hopefully, everybody stays safe out there. If you don't have to drive, don't. Tomorrow is indeed Tuesday, yes. So if I'm able to, I will try to go live tomorrow. And if not, I'll have a video out on Thursday. And then I'm definitely taking a break on Friday and Saturday because I will be busy for sure. Like I said, I was busy this weekend and then this upcoming weekend too. So have a great rest of your Monday. I will see you guys either in a stream tomorrow or I will see you in a video, definitely in a video Thursday if I don't see you in a stream tomorrow. So stay safe and drive safely. And if you don't have to, don't drive out in this winter precipitation. So catch you in the next one. Goodbye. Stay safe and watch the snowfall. Good.